And we are back at it with part 2 of SojuTalk episode 98, where we did get our weekly dose of hot takes, discuss recent K-pop news and events, and give you the state of the nation. So we have hot takes with Harold. With Harold, you know, he's already here. Weekly hot take. Deliver it, man. How you doing?
Man, you just dumped on my boy Kang Daniel, sir. Kind of angry at you. But the weekly hot take is most K-pop groups have filler members. Boom! You're the filler member, Warren. Bye.
If we're a trio, if we're a trio, and if one of us is the filler member.
All right. So the weekly hot take is most K-pop groups have filler members. That's kind of spicy. That could potentially spicy.
Let's define filler first.
Okay.
Right.
So, I think the way we should describe a filler member is someone who's in a group where other people in the group could 100% do their role as well as their own.
So a very replaceable member.
Yeah. If the caveat is, I'm talking like decently large groups, I think all pretty large groups have filler members. That is honestly my opinion.
Okay.
I'm saying if you go more than like 5 people, because I think 5 is like the ideal number in a group. If you go past that, I think you generally have at least one member who's probably a filler.
Would you say I-DLE has filler members?
100%.
Oh.
I don't agree.
Oh.
Okay.
Go ahead.
Oh.
I know, man. Wild. Look. I think it's safe to say, I think I understand why we describe them as filler members. But I'm looking at the intent, of why these people are placed in the groups. I think when you look at a group, and you think, hey, that member might be a filler member. I try to think about why. What was the, why did they place this guy in the group? And it usually comes down to there's a visual appeal of this guy that is different from the other members. There's a certain like 매력, appeal. Maybe
personality,
fun,
right?
Personality. Maybe they're like funny on Variety or radio, or like they act as someone who makes sure that the communication between the members flows really well. In that aspect.
Yeah, you're here for the personality. We
right.
The stuff.
Right. K-pop isn't just about the song. I know I just shat on a bunch of songs. I
just burned you without you even knowing. So just keep going.
What? Okay.
Anita, you got that right?
No.
Okay. Keep going, Warren. Keep going.
I'm confused.
Ignorance is bliss. Keep going.
I mean that's all I have to say.
So you're saying that the company had some kind of reason to put them in, therefore they're not like expendable.
Right. And at the same time, like if once a member leaves the group, it's never the same.
That's another topic that I don't agree with as well. But Anita, what do you feel about? What's your initial impressions about this take? Most K-pop groups have filler members.
I mean, I don't like the term because I guess it makes it seem like people are they're replaceable when I don't know. I guess I'm more on the side that feels like people are not all the same. I feel like they can contribute something that nobody else can, right? As an individual, aside from musical skill, dance skill. And I guess in that sense, I do side more with Warren, where I feel like there is some reason why this person makes it into a final set of a group. Specifically because, as most people know, with the structure of K-pop and how groups debut, they have a good pool of people that want to do this, right? And I think something must set these people apart to some extent that allows them to be in the final lineup of said group. So I do agree with that it's kind of, I don't know, I don't like the wording, and I don't think I really agree that a lot of members have this, but I feel like like Warren mentioned as well, there is some sort of, I guess, the skill level of some members makes it seem in a way where like this person could be replaceable in a performance aspect. And I think, as he mentioned, there's this line of visuals, right? Like the visual, I guess, tag that people have, like the visual member, or like the variety member that people sometimes point out. But I like we've mentioned before, since K-pop is so much more than just performing and releasing the songs, you kind of need people that maybe are not necessarily equal or as strong as far as performance. And even then, I feel like they're probably better than average. Like I don't think anybody who's doing this for a living is.
They're probably all better than me at dancing and rapping and singing.
They're probably better than the average person.
Can I start my massive rebuttal soon?
Oh, okay.
I think both of you are being too nice about this. Number one.
Wow. Okay.
I think. All right. I get. Like IZ*ONE, one, I love everyone in the group, right? Mm-hmm. I don't want to use them as the example because I don't think that's fair. But let me just say some things. K-pop boils down to we're making music, right? I know. At the end of the day, at the end of the primary thing is we're releasing music. True. Mm-hmm. I know you can argue that K-pop is also advertising is the main thing and making money, right? At the end of the day, K-pop is making money. Yeah. My argument is that we don't need 12, 13, 14 people to have one song.
The numbers.
My argument is that we got 14 people. There's groups, right, where some people get no lines or only one line because there's so many people in a group, right? I think that companies debut these massive number of groups is because they've invested money in these trainees and they think it'd be a waste to let them leave their company. Because I think it's very rare, unless you're at a giant company, where these large groups promote like all 12, 13 members well. I think a lot of the times a bunch of these kids are sitting at home doing nothing.
It's not equal.
My argument is not that we should remove these members, right? I'm just saying that in terms of efficiency, a lot of groups are not efficient in the amount of members they have.
Well, I have a counter argument to your counter argument.
Okay.
That's fine.
So I have a counter argument to your argument. Here's what I noticed, and I'm gonna get very personal. I'm gonna use Rocket Punch as an example.
But they're a smaller group, and my argument crux on the large groups.
It doesn't matter if it's. I think my argument doesn't matter. 6-member group, very small. I was not super big on one of the girls. I was like, this. I don't really see what's great about this girl, and I don't want to mention her name. That being said, I also know that one of the biggest fans, the most active fan in the RP fandom, is a big stan of that girl. So you might argue that that person plays a big role in making sure the fandom is, doing all the things that they want to do, like streaming, on Melon and YouTube, and like, making sure the relationships between other fandoms and all that kind of stuff.
They lead like the fandom activities?
They are one of the named people that is very active on Twitter and like the DC Inside Gallery and whatnot. I don't want to. I'm not obviously not going to name people at the moment, but this is where my argument gets interesting. Even if it's the least popular member, there's people like that person. There's got to be at least like 10 fans out there for that person, right?
But then with your argument, why don't we have 50-person groups?
We do.
At the same time.
Yeah, I mean, like AKB
in K-pop.
Like, okay.
You see what I'm saying?
I think it's acceptable to like up until like 15 or so.
Ooh,
I just feel like groups are way too big. Maybe that's where my.
I understand what you're talking about. Like, if I were to create a group, 6 kids max.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. No. I totally agree with that. But at the same time, if I had more money to invest, if I had more kids to kind of put in the group, I understand why they would make a 13-member Super Junior group. I think that was a very smart plan.
But the specifics of Super Juniors, they have the resources to promote the 13 whatever people generally well.
Right. That's why I said if I had the resources, if I was Mr. Lee Suman, I would do what Mr. Lee Suman did. That being said, I am not Mr. Lee Suman, nor is some of these groups out here. But
I just feel like the skill sets of most K-pop groups these days is like most roles, like you have 3 people who could do it. Right? I don't think that's a I think that's a fairly objective statement. Other than like, I think main vocalist is the most specific, right? Because a lot of groups need someone who has like the distinct sound. But I would say like sub vocalist too, right? Because we're like running 12 deep. We have like 8 kids who could do that.
Okay, I think when I watched Produce, I was kind of unhappy with how they treat some of the lines near the ending episodes where they're like, sub vocal 2 gets 6 letters to sing. You know, like kind of dumb. That being said, I think that's fundamentally a different issue where they are unable to divide the resources in a fair and efficient manner. I do recognize it'll be easier if there was 7 people or 6 people or 5. But so there is a good advantage, I would say, with having 10 people in your group.
You would be willing to say, in like a group of 13 people, it is critical that we have all 13 of these people. Like, necessary to have this group. That's what I'm trying to get at.
Okay. Critical is a different word, though. You know? If I were to create a minimum viable product, you know? We're using big marketing words here. In that case, yeah, I would make a 5-person group. But if I was Mr. Lee Suman, and I have all this money, and have all these people that are like, I think they're very talented. Yeah, then I would create NCT with like 20 kids.
But I think that your argument rests on your emotions towards like the kids themselves. I want you to take yourself out of that, right? And I want you to answer the question of, is it necessary to have 12 people for a K-pop group?
You want me to be a heartless robot? Is that what you're saying?
I'm just saying. That's what the hot take is.
I can view it this way, though, because I feel like, to be honest, I don't think there really is like a necessary number. Because I feel like a lot of groups work with 4, 3 even. I feel like there has been legendary groups like that, SES. So I feel like there's no like set number that is like, this is like the one that works the best. Because I feel like you will find a range of groups that have worked depending on how many people they have. But I feel like companies see this need. I want to say it this way because I think the companies view it as if they do need these members that might not be able to just focus on one thing. So they're like sub vocal 2, rapper 3, I don't know. They can do a lot of things, but they're not specifying in one. And maybe that is why they feel like replaceable, because they don't specify in a specific position. But the appeal that they have to gain helps in some way. And I think it works to some advantage for groups. Because when I think of 17, who's pretty big currently, I think one of the biggest boy groups, they're doing pretty good despite how many people they have.
That's true.
And
numbers.
But were they all necessary? I'm saying like now that you've seen the product, right, and now that you're emotionally invested in the different people, you of course are like, yeah, we need them, right? But I think
they need that amount of people for the choreo style they do. Their choreo style always relies on having that many people.
But you're arguing after it has happened, not before it happened. Like you could design the choreo with 7 people. But
they would become generic.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I think it's really hard to know if it would have worked before, because I mean 17 they're kind of a unique story because they had already introduced all of these members before even debut, so people already knew of them before debut, and even some of them switched out. Like some of them did not even debut. I think 3 of them did not even make it to the actual group. But I don't know. 17 is a little weird, and I don't think you can really judge if it would have worked the same if it had not been that big. Because I also think of Super Junior.
I'll say one more thing before we move on, right?
We're not going to move on. I got way more to say. More to say.
Okay. Look, I think when they're there and they provide some advantage, some benefit to the overall group's profit, I think it's safe to say that they are not a filler member. That is my judgment.
I'm not really arguing specific members. I'm just saying.
Oh, yeah.
My overall arching argument is that a lot of these groups wouldn't need all the members they had, because we've done this once in a while, Warren, where we're like, let's boil down a certain group to what they need to still be them. We've done it with Twice before.
It's like core.
Yes.
We said, like, what is the core that you need? I'm not going to name who I think it is, right?
If Twice those 5 members, who would be in it? Yes. Those kind of questions. Right? We ask them. Yeah.
I think if you could boil it down to, like, we could do it with this amount of members, that's saying in a roundabout way that, like, not everyone is critically necessary, at least at the start of the group. That's my overall point. All right, we're back. Warren's internet kicked out, and then he cursed, so we had to stop it there.
Oops.
But we were doing some talking off camera, and we'll only talk about this topic for a little bit more. But right now, if we're being honest, Warren and Anita's opinion is not even that some K-pop groups have filler members. It's that there are no filler members in K-pop.
Okay. Let me clarify just a little bit.
On your side, yes.
Yeah, I am sure there are small, unsuccessful groups. I think they might have filler members. Yeah, but I think successful groups, they don't have filler members, and it is impossible. It is impossible to say that they could have succeeded without having member A or member B.
So you think? So what you would say is even sub vocalist 3 has been critical for their success, and without them, they might not be successful.
I think Twice probably wouldn't have been successful if they were missing a member or 2, or you know.
Really? Okay, I guess that's your opinion.
Same goes for 17 and all the other groups.
I completely disagree with that, but you're entitled to that opinion. Because I think you could boil down a lot of groups into, like, critical people. But I don't know. Anita, do you have any closing thoughts?
No. I was just going to mention that when we were not recording, you did mention that there's, like, the word critical, right? And I guess I translate that into, like, what do you need to, like, survive? You know, like, to make...
Yeah.
Like, what is, like, the essential, the skeleton of a group? And I do agree, like, for as far as, like, need, like, necessary, well, singing, right? Well, dancing. Those are, like, the core, the skeleton of a group. And you can't really have a K-pop, a modern K-pop group nowadays without those essential things. And you need people that can do that very well. I guess, yes, there's, like, a certain amount of people maybe that you can identify within a 13-member group, an 8-member group, where you feel like, okay, these people are the ones that could carry this position by themselves. But I also feel like, for some reason, I feel like in K-pop, there needs to be, like, some in-between. Like, you can't have somebody that's, like, 100% just dancing or, like, 100% singing. They do a lot of things that can do people that can do multiple things, and in that sense, it makes it where certain members, even if they're not, they wouldn't be qualifying as, like, the skeleton of the group. Without it seems, without them as I guess what you might consider filler members, or what others might consider filler members, it does seem. I don't know, it might seem like there's no leeway, like there's only, like, this person does this person does this, and this.
If we say, you know, there are filler members, there's no end to that argument, we would probably end up with one person, a soloist, who is able to sing really well, dance really well, has a good personality, has great visuals.
That's not what I'm getting at, though.
I'm just saying, like, you know, if we, you know, cycle through your argument over and over again,
No, because you're saying that, I'm saying in the group, right? We have kids who are good at rapping, kids who are good at singing, kids who are good at dancing. I'm saying is, do we need 4 great singers, 4 great dancers, 4 great rappers to make a 12-person group? The argument at the beginning was that when we defined what a filler member was, it was someone who was expendable, right? That if they left the group can still do their thing, and it wouldn't be too much different than the product.
Yeah,
right?
no, I still disagree.
Okay.
I think every successful group,
Agreed to disagree.
there is a net benefit that each member brings to the point where I'm like, if they're not there, who knows where they might be.
Interesting. All right, this has been our most decisive. We're getting close to season 3. This segment's going to change a little bit. Then we'll let you guys know more next week.
Yeah,
it's interesting that we've gotten our most decisive conversation 2 episodes away from the change. But let's move on to news and events from last week. So the first one, Blackpink in your area. So Blackpink have announced that their first full-length album will drop on October 2nd. The group plans to continue releasing music until the official October date, with the new track coming up this August. So they announced the August date while we were recording this. It's going to be on August 28th.
Oh, wow.
So earlier this week on July 28th, though, a news source called I-DLE shared that Blackpink will collaborate with Selena Gomez for their upcoming new pre-release single. YG Entertainment stated that it is currently difficult to confirm the collaboration between Blackpink and Selena Gomez, and are asking fans to wait for the official announcement for the reveal of the collaboration artist.
I kind of grew up watching Wizards of Waverly Place. It's an interesting collab. Like, I haven't heard from Selena Gomez, to be honest.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, did not expect this collaboration, to be honest.
Yeah.
I thought it was going to be like Ariana Grande,
Lady
or
Gaga.
or something like that.
I mean, Selena's cool. It's been a while since I heard 100 Days Without Rain. Something about rain, right? Like, that was one of her old songs.
I have no clue, to be frank with you. August 28th, though, that's relatively soon. That's 25 days away. I'm excited. I wonder what the song's going to be like if it is a Western collab, if it is Selena Gomez, right? I really am curious as to what kind of song they're going to produce.
I'm kind of interested to how they're going to fit Selena Gomez in. Like,
I don't think they could fly her to... Can they fly her to Korea? I don't know how they're going to do the music video, right? That's another... Logistically,
true.
how are they going to do that?
maybe they filmed it through Zoom? Oh, no.
Right now, now that we're thinking about the logistics, that should be... Yeah,
that's kind of
right?
weird, yeah. Maybe, I mean...
Hopefully,
hopefully
it's not just her voice. Hopefully she's in the music video in some capacity.
That would be
right?
nice, yeah.
Yeah. I'm kind of concerned, like, Selena Gomez is not going to have her own line. And it's just going to be, like, just
background.
on there, like, right in the background or something, like... I mean, oh no. Not super big on Teddy. I assume Teddy's the one working on this.
I have no...
We'll see what happens.
Can I ask you a question?
Me or Anita?
You. Is he the Michael Bay of K-pop? Someone brought that up before.
You know, I had never thought of it that way. But that is the perfect way to think about it. Oh my goodness.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, big explosions, big brass. Oh yeah, you're right. It's Michael Bay.
Okay.
Man, I cannot get that out of my head now.
Here's the other thing. So they also stated that some kind of project with Universal Music, which is kind of their... we got some weird sound effects in the background. But
Sing-a-ling-a-ling.
we heard that there's like... Through Universal Music, which is where they promote within the West, they also have some kind of project going on. Here's the one thing, though, that happened that's crazy. The teaser image for the album that will drop on October 2nd, right? At the top, it just said The Album. Is their album literally going to be titled The Album?
I think that's what it is.
Is that a little bit cringy, or is that just me?
The album.
I'm not super big on it. I understand why they did it.
It just feels like, come on, right? Like, come on. I don't know. I think it's gonna sell crazy. I'm not gonna make a prediction like I did like a month ago because I had to recant some of what I said. But let's move on to the second topic. Mnet's Kingdom canceled for 2020.
Oh wait, what?
Ooh.
So Mnet has confirmed Kingdom will not be airing in 2020. A report on Ilgan Sports stated earlier in the week that due to various problems, including difficulty casting groups, Kingdom will not be airing in 2020. Mnet later confirmed this report with the representative stating, quote, "The producers are having discussions about showcasing Kingdom with a different structure, and unfortunately the show will no longer be a part of this year's lineup. In the second half of the year, we have Island Part 2, Cap Teen, and Show Me the Money 9 prepared. Please show these programs a lot of support." It seems that Kingdom is still being discussed for the future, but in the meantime, the boys, the winner of Road to Kingdom, will be making a comeback before the end of the year in 2020 that is not Kingdom related.
Wow.
Okay. I have a guess.
Okay.
I'm gonna put my tinfoil hat on. Right. I'm thinking about these companies, where they saw Queendom and they saw Road to Kingdom. It's very risky to put your boys on this show. It's just is, if they don't make it to like a certain level of like success, you gonna look bad. It's gonna be a clear signal that hey, this group is not as good as this other group. Like you don't want that in your career. You don't want that on your report card. You only want good things on your report card, and it's very easier to do that if you're not in the show, and you don't have this clear like rank in there. I think in terms of risk aversion, big brain move, not to be on the show.
I kind of agree. I feel like the Road to Kingdom effect was not as strong as the Queendom effect.
No.
At least so far.
Yeah.
Right? Because we got to think the real winners of Queendom were Oh My Girl.
Yeah.
Right? No one else has translated their success yet. So, although obviously Road to Kingdom ended like a month or so ago, so we haven't seen the fruits of the labor. But at the same time, it just doesn't feel like we're having the same kind of thing going on, right?
Yeah, and I feel like I would agree with what Warren said, because as far as I've seen, like fan reactions to like speculated groups that were going to be on Road to Kingdom or possible like lineup. So I think there is a sense of fear from a fan's perspective, like, oh no, like this group that I really look up to is gonna be on this show, and you're afraid of them doing bad, right? Because you feel like, oh no, it's gonna be like a reputation thing on the line, and I don't know. I think there were some names that were dropped here and there, and they were, I think I would consider them well-established groups with pretty strong, pretty, I guess, well-established fandoms. So I don't know. I think if the way that Road to Kingdom happened and Queendom as well, there were some positive things that certain groups received, but when you're not in the top half of the rankings or the voting, it does make you look bad the more of a senior that you are, I think. It's not a good look.
I feel the inherent problem was that Road to Kingdom had such decently high mid-tier groups.
Yes.
That there's a very limited people you can cast for the regular Kingdom.
Yeah.
That's like the problem.
And the thing is, like, for those people, there's nothing to gain from coming on the show.
Like,
right.
What does Monsta X have to gain from coming on this? What does, like, 17 have to gain, right?
Right. Like, people who watch this show are gonna be, let's say Monsta X 17 and the boys are gonna be on the show. People who watch the show are gonna be Monsta X 17 and the boys fans. They're not gonna switch over to a different fandom. Like, what are they gaining out of watching this show? Nothing.
Yeah.
If you're a company, I'm not saying any companies are probably listening to the podcast, but if you're a company and people are like, oh, Colin Kingdom, don't go. You have nothing to gain. No, don't do that, man. Big no.
My opinion is that, my prediction is I don't think Kingdom's going to ever happen, if I had to guess.
Oh, that makes me feel bad for the boys, though.
I know, that's the thing. But it just seems logistically, it's going to be very hard to convince these bigger groups to show up.
Yeah.
Because you would need, like, what are you going to have? Who are you going to have the show? Monsta X, New West, 17. You're gonna convince them to go on, right? Like, NCT, like, Mnet and SM don't really have a great relationship, right? Like, how are you gonna pull that off?
Look, big oof, big bad, not small, not big brain move at all.
I wonder if they're gonna, if they ever try to recreate this sort of Kingdom show type thing. I feel like they might go for more emphasis on the rookie groups. Maybe I don't know if that might be something that
like
they're gonna try.
Even like so instead of going above Road to Kingdom, you're gonna say on the tier list, like quote unquote lower, right?
Yeah, because I feel like
there's more groups there for sure.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It felt a little odd to see TOO, right? Because they were months into their career, and it felt like they benefited a ton because they got tons of exposure. They had with their fandom, they had a comeback after that, and I don't know, it set them up really well. Even if they didn't win, they didn't really like win the show as the boys did, but they had everything to gain because they were so new. So I feel like it could work to some advantage for groups that are younger. They're new. They're establishing their fandom and their identity, I guess, in terms of K-pop world. But for what they were trying to do with Kingdom, which is senior groups, like 3 years plus, I guess, I think it's a little riskier for them.
I think a big trend with Mnet shows that rely on like already big celebrities is that now that Mnet's competition shows are not as popular anymore. There's not a big benefit on coming on these shows. Now they're having casting troubles. I think that's gonna be a big trend we see going forward with all of the Mnet shows. Like Show Me the Money has they're having that trouble. You know, Kingdom is having this trouble. Who knows what's next? People don't want to be on Mnet shows anymore. That's what it is.
Yeah, we'll have to see what happens.
Yeah.
Would you say that TOO was the filler member of Road to Kingdom? I'm kidding. Let's move on. Quick take. So BTS will have a reality show in the soup. So soup is not actual soup. It means forest. You know.
Soup. Okay.
Yeah. On JTBC, that will air alongside their August comeback. The program is set to feature an in-between daily life and rest concept, and focuses on BTS's daily life and rest outside the stage, where they spend time normally while doing their hobbies. During the program, the BTS members will plan timetables for the day and spend time solely among themselves, surrounded by a wide river and a dense forest. In the Soup will air on Wednesdays, with the first episode coming on August 19th, just days before their comeback with Dynamite, which is going to be the song title, on the 21st. The program will also be available on Weverse with additional content.
Interesting.
So here's something funny that happened. So they are staying at some kind of cabin somewhere in Korea, right?
Yeah.
The cabin was on Airbnb. It sold out once they announced this and people saw the teaser, so they knew which cabin it was. It sold out as far as you can go on Airbnb.
Oh my gosh.
People booked it the entire way. I think it was like 2 years out.
Oh my goodness.
Guys, the Rona's still around.
No, but people want to stay in the same place as BTS.
Oh yeah, I mean that makes sense.
I get that, but like, there's too many variety shows on Korea right now that are like similar to this concept.
The rest,
like every channel has like 3 shows with this concept right now. Like I'm
kind of curious though. I will watch this. Just throwing that out there. In other BTS news, Island announces BTS Into the Island coming soon.
Oh boy.
Following the July 31st episode of Island, a teaser was shared that first included the current contestants in Island, talking about their admiration of BTS. A caption then read, quote, "And Into the Island, BTS," with the group's logo and the date of August 14th, which is going to be the next episode. The scope of their appearance is unknown, but many fans believe that the group will appear in person on the program.
It makes sense, honestly, to me.
It wouldn't be surprising if they have one member on every week and they do something with that member in the trainees.
Yes.
Right?
That makes sense.
How many weeks is the show? 6 weeks?
I don't know how long let me look it up because it is on the wiki page. Let me get that going real quick.
Yeah, part 1 was 6, I think. Right.
Yeah, BTS is 6 members, right? I'm not
7.
crazy.
God
7.
damn,
okay, 7. I meant 7. Yeah. I meant 7.
There's going to be it says I'm looking at this wiki. They said there's going to be a special on August 7th, which I believe is probably when they're going to announce the results of the first half, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we're getting 6 more episodes, so 7 through 12.
Okay. Well, okay, maybe I'm crazy.
Maybe like a group appearance and then individual?
Well, here's what I was thinking. It makes sense because they want to draw viewership onto Island, and they got BTS.
Yes.
In the first half of the show, why didn't they bring on TXT to draw more viewers at the first half?
Who knows?
They could have covered a TXT song for one of the challenges or something, right? That would have, I don't know. Maybe that's me with my small brain thinking, but I feel like you could have leveraged it into more viewership.
Could have happened, yeah.
They could have, yeah.
All right, next one. SM Entertainment officially announces that they have received the 100 billion Korean won, which is around 83 million USD investment from Naver. So it is official and confirmed. And they're going to be doing things like cross-platform stuff, right? Something with the things with V Live, all that stuff. Some kind of cool partnership is going to happen.
Just want to say, like, this is basically the Korean equivalent of like I don't know, like Disney collabing with Google. Even though none of them are that big, but like
it's a critical move in the history of K-pop, right? Would you say
it's a critical move in the history of K-pop, and it's also a very like a key moment in the tech industry in Korea.
That makes sense because a lot of it has to do with the platforms and stuff,
right?
Like Beyond V Live, things like that.
Yep.
Next, Ihyori, Mamamoo Hwasa, Jessie, and Jung-hwa confirm plans to hold first meeting for new girl group project.
Jeez.
Yes.
The project was first jokingly suggested by Ihyori on MBC's How Do You Play, which is while she was working with SOC3. They met.
Right.
It seems like it's gonna happen.
The refunds crusaders.
Apparently. But if this does happen, that's quite legendary, right?
Yep.
It's like the divas of each generation, pretty much.
Yeah.
Like Jung-hwa in the 90s, Lihyori in the 2000s, and then Hwasa and Jessie of like 2010s.
Current
like,
age, yeah.
It's one of those things where Ihyori and like UJ Suck are so big now. If they mention anything offhand, it could happen just because of their strength. But next, MBC confirmed that they are currently working on a documentary remembering Sully. The documentary will feature interviews and stories of Sully from staff at SM, family, and friends. Currently, there is no set air date, but I think it should be pretty cool.
Wow.
Lastly, Treasure has surpassed 150,000 stock pre-orders for their debut single album. Debut single album. So it's a debut single, but it's an album. So you can physically buy it. It's called The First Step Chapter 1. It was reported as 100,000 earlier in the week, but it got updated yesterday to 150,000 because they had to print more because of the demand.
I guess the fans are still invested, you know?
Yeah.
They're still going all in. They're waiting. They're ready to spend the money.
One other thing, we had news that also popped up while we were recording. Real quick. One second. Okay. There was a market report about SM Entertainment's future plans for 2020. None of this is fully confirmed, but people are speculating that Kai will get a solo debut in the third quarter of 2020.
Wow.
With SM's new girl group also debuting in the third quarter of 2020. And there is possibility of shiny activities by the end of the year, but nothing is certain.
Ooh, that's exciting.
Okay. Third quarter is like, there's only 2 months left.
July to September. Yeah.
Yeah, we better see that quick. But shiny comeback, though.
Yeah.
Kind of hyped.
A lot of cool stuff. But of course, that just dropped. None of it's super confirmed by SM, so take that with a grain of salt. But now, comebacks and releases. Warren, hit us with them.
August 4th, on Tuesday, we have Rocket Punch coming back, as well as Taemi and one team.
No,
Timid.
Timid.
Oh, you didn't write? I was like, who is Taemi? Yeah, you didn't write the end. That's not my fault.
I like how you didn't question it though. You went with it.
I was okay. Rocket Punch, Taemin, one team. Taemin of Shiny, you know who he is.
Yeah,
we just talked about Shiny. August 5th, on Wednesday, Wonder 9, goodbye song before disbandment. What, really?
They were a temporary group, so they were on
Oh,
Under
man.
19, which was a reality show.
Oh, geez. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that. August 6th, on Friday, Cherry Bullet and Inoi.
Correct. That's how you.
August 7th, on Friday. It's coming. We have the YG Treasure debut. August 10th, on Monday, we have ONF and Victon's Sungu making a solo debut.
Bro, I am so bad at putting the things in the. I'm like slacking
Warren got
on
it.
Warren's.
I got it.
On
I got
Warren's
it.
segment. Yeah.
They wouldn't have known. They wouldn't have known. Okay. Confirmed release news.
This one, the first one, is pretty crazy.
Oh, August 12th. We got Mr. JYP featuring Sunmi. Oh man, what a crazy collab, right?
Announced
August
today.
17th, August 17th, you have Dreamcatcher, as well as ITZY. Blackpink coming back on August 28th. Sunjiun coming back on August. Gravity also confirmed for late August. Lovelyz confirmed for early September. And Blackpink's The Album on October 2nd.
Mm-hmm.
One interesting thing. Coincidentally, we started season 2 with an ITZY song. We're starting season 3 also with an ITZY song.
Wow.
Ooh.
Wow.
So that's just something to point out.
I guess they are our headliners.
Yeah, and there's going to be a new segment like after comebacks and releases that has to do with the comebacks. It's interesting because JYP's coming back that week and ITZY's coming back that week.
That's gonna be really weird.
Yeah, but we're now at State of the Nation. I want Warren to go first this week.
It's been a stressful week. I wake up every day at 11 a.m. It's a big party. Look,
what?
If you have never watched my previous episodes regarding Rocket Punch, I should probably let you know at this point that I have trash tastes, and my favorite group of all time has been Rocket Punch. It's I don't know why. Don't ask me why. It began with Jury from Produce 48. Now I enjoy the whole group. I'm not gonna go into the details of why I enjoyed that group. I'm sure I've said it multiple times here and there. But obviously, comeback is in about 7 hours. I'm gonna go to sleep right after this and wake up at 5 a.m. to watch their stuff. Super excited. Look, I'm also very stressed out. I'm very nervous. I hope I like the song. I hope the song's great. I hope it blows up. I hope it does really well. I know.
What's your prediction?
Yeah, did you listen to
it?
teasers?
Are you concerned?
No, I'm not super concerned. I kind of like the song. I kind of like the teaser.
Oh, okay.
What did you think about the Bouncy teasers before you saw Bouncy though?
I was not super on board Bouncy.
Okay, that's
not
good
super
then.
on board the Bouncy
Okay.
teasers. Iggy Yongbae is back. Mr. Iggy and Mr. Yongbae.
He did Bim Bam Boom, correct?
He did Bim Bam Boom. He did all the golden age G-Friend stuff. Very talented man. He did a good job with all the previous work. I don't want to naysay him. I trust him. I listened to the highlight medley. Super excited. Track 3 sounds super interesting. Intro they all sound really interesting.
Breathe, Warren, breathe.
It's look.
I bought you the album.
I know you've given
birthday.
me a birthday gift. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. I've been catching up with their V Live. Well, catching up. I've been rewatching their V Live. I've been watching some of the YouTubers that pretty much clip their V Lives and make them into short clips. Edra Kim is one. Miss IZ*ONE's Eunbi needs to stop doing Today Bakin.
There's like a meme, right? Because Yeonnie, she doesn't mumble the words, but her pronunciation's not the best, right?
Today Bakin.
It's in Bouncy. She goes like Today Bakin, and for some reason, like Eunbi's one of those people who once she latches onto a phrase, she has to say it a gajillion times. So her things lately has been saying Today Bakin, and she also says IZ*ONE in like announcer voice, like IZ*ONE. IZ*ONE. Yeah, that's her other thing.
Except she's been doing. She kind of stopped doing the IZ*ONE thing for a while, and it got replaced with Today Bakin. Today Bakin has been going for like 3 months. My goodness.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I am very excited for this comeback. I'm very sad that I have to wait 6 days until we record the episode because I do want to bring my full emotions to the podcast. But I'm sure the emotions will still be there by next Monday. I'll probably be active on the Discord. I'll probably say some words about it. Look,
how about you do this?
Yeah.
If you like the song, you put a smiley face. If you don't, you put a frowny face, and that's it.
Okay, sure, yeah, I'll do that. People are gonna be really confused tomorrow.
Whatever.
Go with it.
I don't know, man. Every time I see the word Rocket Punch right now, dude, my heart just beats. I'm like, I hope it's their third song. 1 year into debut, everyone is.
That's right.
This is it, guys. This is it. Yeah.
Is that all you got?
I can keep talking if you want, but like,
okay.
Yeah.
I'll start off with an apology.
Oh no.
Oh no, what happened?
I've been reflecting
Yes.
on my debate skills during Hot Takes with Harold today.
Oh.
Why are you apologizing for that?
I feel like I was a bit strong.
I think you were fine.
No, I feel kind of bad.
Why do you feel bad?
I feel like
Okay.
I was too shocked at the moment at your guys' opinion because I see your point though. I see your point.
Okay. Yeah, we agreed to disagree. It's okay.
It's fine. Rocket Punch is coming back next week. I don't really give a damn.
Too combative? Might be the right word.
You're fine. Why are you apologizing?
Well, I apologize to one Warren and one Anita.
Well, I don't think you need to, but thank you. I appreciate it.
I want to, though. It'll help me sleep at night. Like,
all right.
Oh, man. Okay.
I was going to apologize on Facebook later after we recorded.
You're fine.
Yeah.
Oh man, we make it
awkward now.
Yeah. Jeez. I like jury.
I feel kind of bad though. Anita, do you want to talk about Island?
I do. But
now that it's awkward.
Before that, I did want to mention something that kind of relates to Island, very briefly.
Okay.
So, think about a year ago, after Produce 101 Japan ended, there were talks somewhere on the internet that there was going to be another idol producing type of show that ended up being like a collaboration between Korean and Japanese producers. So it's very much, the emphasis is in a mixture of having Korean idols or trainees and Japanese idols or trainees. And I heard about this show because some of the Produce Japan people that did not make it to the final group were gonna be in this show. But I didn't have a chance to check it out, and it kind of died down on my radar, so I didn't really pay attention to it. But I came across the final results, I guess, of this show. Okay. And it's very interesting because I wasn't aware of who the Korean people were going to be that were going to participate. And the intro for this show is basically the same thing that Island had, where they do this quote from, I don't remember who the author is or the book, but there's this quote that relates like the person or the self having to break the shell to enter the real world or something along those lines. And that's why
very Japanese, like well, like typical Japanese marketing one-liner.
Well, yeah, the quote that they're using though is the same quote that Island used in their intro, which is, it comes from a novel. I don't remember the title, but it's basically saying that the group has to hatch the egg, and once it reaches the reality beyond the egg, that's when they grow. Something along those lines. But
okay.
The show was called G-Egg, which is basically going off of that quote, that intro. And I came across the final debut, I guess, that they have. I'm not sure, but I've read that this is a project, so I'm guessing it might not be a forever thing. It might come to an end after a couple of years. But they have 4 teams. And out of those 4 teams, there's some pretty notable people who are fans of either established groups that disbanded, or if you watch Produce X101, you would recognize some people. So the ones that I recognized off like right away were Yoon-sol, who was one of the pretty notable dancers of Produce X101, and Hyun-soo. So he used to be in LC9, who disbanded kind of quickly, but he also was in Produce X101. He made it up to the like the debut, no, not the debut song, but like the original song that they all get to promote, and then they are divided into teams. He made it into Super Special Girl, if you remember that one. And 2 other members who used to be, or maybe they disbanded, I'm not sure on this, but a group called BIG from from Korea is two members, Gunmin and Hido, I believe.
Oh.
They're both in this project. Yeah. And I don't know, it's really interesting how they're promoting them. Like I mentioned, they're divided into 4 teams, A, B, C, D, and each song is so different. Like they're covering all the bases. They're going like a darker, sentimental, very poppy, pastel colors, intense dancing. I don't know. They cover all of the genres that I think would be in pop music. So it's really interesting that they're doing it. I would want to recommend Team C though, because that was my favorite. It's called I Don't Care, and this one has Hyunsu and Hido, who were formerly of previous K-pop groups. Really, really cool. I don't know what's gonna happen with this group, to be honest. I need to do more research, but I found it very interesting, and I don't know if it's the first of its kind where there's a very distinct collaboration. I want to say Mnet Japan has hand on this, but very interesting. So if you were into Produce X 101 and you were kind of wondering what some of these trainees went on to do, some of them ended up in this group.
Is it a group or a show? I wasn't
So it was a show, and from this show they made like 4 subunits.
So what was the show called again for everyone at home?
G-Egg.
G-Egg. So G-E-G-G. G-Egg.
Interesting.
Yes.
Okay.
Very interesting.
Just want to say that 30 minutes ago, Yoon posted on Twitter on Rocket Punch. They look great.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Let's talk about Island, Anita.
Ooh, oh boy.
So
last episode of season 1.
Before we started
Part
Island, they basically gave us an update as to who had votes in a weird way. So let me explain.
Okay.
I had it on my screen.
Votes?
Yeah, let me get it on my screen real quick.
Are you gonna share your screen?
No. So
Okay, never mind.
they announced the 5 countries with the most votes. It was
Right, yeah.
Indonesia,
Countries.
Japan, Philippines, USA, and Korea in that order.
Wait, there's one kid from Indonesia.
No, he's from Vietnam, sir.
Oh, well, you just said Indonesia.
No. Those are
Yeah.
the countries with the most votes. Like the most votes came from Indonesia.
Number of votes coming from there.
People have been voting from Indonesia.
Yes.
Okay, I
And
apologize.
then they said the top applicants per country. So
Yes.
in Korea was Sunu. In China was Sunghoon. Japan, Nikki. USA, Daniel. India, Heesung. Vietnam, Hanbin. And Indonesia, Jake. Right?
Yeah.
So those were the top vote getters. Then on the show, what happened was, in summary, the Island kids did their performance, right? Straight up, just did the performance, and then they got their scores.
Yes.
The way it was working this week is the kids in Island vote, and they send 3 kids down, right? And then the producers send 3 kids down after that, out of the remaining 9.
Right.
So only 6 kids instantly advance to the final, to the next part of the show. And then we have 18 kids in Island, or I believe, right? 18 kids in Island. And then the 6 kids who are going to move up to the second half of the show is completely from the vote, the international voting that's going on. So
I'm
that's
seeing
how it's
6
going.
names. Yeah.
So the 6 kids, this is the big spoilers now, right? The 6 kids who have officially made it to part 2 of the show are Kay, Heesung, Sunghoon, Jungwon, Jake, and Jae. Were you surprised by this, Anita?
I feel like I don't think so, because it's pretty consistent with that none of these people, I believe, have been voted down to ground ever. I don't think. Well, no, Jake did, but
Jake came up. Yeah, he came up.
He came back up, so he's the only exception. But I guess I'm not too surprised. I'll be honest.
The big shocker was that Kay, who I think is one of the best kids on the show, he had like a bottom 3 or 4 score, because his as they say in Korea, his condition wasn't very good during the performance. So he did bad. So he was like worrying, but then I think they just went on. They know what his talent level is, so they kept him there. So the kids who were sent down to ground were Gonu, Seon, EJ, Jaebom, Youngbin, and Kyungmin. Right. So those kids are sent down, And then what they did was the ground out of 18 kids also performed that song that I-LAND performed, and that was all we got, essentially, right? That was pretty much the whole episode. Do you have predictions, Anita, as to who's gonna come up into I-LAND in the fan vote?
I don't know if I can name like a solid 6, but as I mentioned in the previous episode, I feel like based on popularity, Sonu has a really good shot.
Sonu, I think, is 100% making it.
Yeah, pretty good shot. Hanbin has such a strong fan base.
The Vietnamese are coming out strong for their boy Hanbin. I respect that.
Yeah.
I think he was on my list. The 3 that I thought were that I'm pretty sure is Sonu, Hanbin, and I want to say Nikki, based on the Japanese vote that we saw in the
which
first half
I think
of the
was
episode.
very interesting though, because I think there was some based on the fact that Taki, which is the other Japanese trainee, also in ground. I thought maybe it would be split somewhere along the line, especially because Nikki didn't get the most favorable of editing in the show. So it's interesting though that he still retains that popularity.
You want to know what's even more interesting? So the vote totals they showed in the first half of the show also included the kids who potentially made it to I-LAND already. So Nikki got more votes than K as well.
True, that's true.
That's crazy to me.
Yeah.
I guess people really like Nikki.
That's why I think Nikki's pretty, has a really good shot to make it as well, right? So for me, Nikki and Sonu and Hanbin, I think those 3 are, I would be surprised if they don't make it.
I want to say also, though, that maybe, possibly...
Is Kyungmin the one who's very popular?
Yes, I was going to name him, because I feel like he keeps coming up in, popular, non-official fan votes. And I don't know, I feel like for some reason he's been up there for a while. I don't know if that's the case still now, because Sonu is the number 1 in Korea, and I think that's where people ranked him, right? Most in Korea, he was
Warren has something to say.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm looking at the wiki right now. Kyungmin has been eliminated.
No, you move from I-LAND to ground, and you're in the 18 kids in ground.
Oh.
Yeah,
and then out of those 18 kids, 6 kids are gonna get put back into I-LAND for part 2 of the show.
Yeah, because he was...
Okay, I understand now. Okay.
He was in I-LAND, and then he got voted down from the I-LAND people, not by the producers.
Not from the producers.
Okay.
Right.
Okay. He's been voted into ground.
Yes.
Okay.
So
he's one of the 18 potential kids in ground to come back up.
I understand now.
Overall, though, I feel like this episode, and just the conclusion, I guess, of this part 1, just really made me question, though, why this system was set up this way to begin with. Because the whole thing of people remaining in, you want to stay in the island, right? And then the ground is basically... You're basically disqualified otherwise. If you stay in ground, you will not get to debut. I still feel like I do not understand why the island people who got to perform first, right, and had their scores first, why they got sent to ground, right? They got voted down, and then they had the chance to perform again.
That's a good point.
I found it very unfair in a sense because, one, they already are in the... I don't want to say the popular group, but they're in the group that gets the most screen time. I want to say they get their stage in the island, and then they come down to ground. They had to rearrange the song to fit those 6 people that were in ground, and the lines got distributed, of course. So if you had part 1 and you had 5 lines, now your part might be shorter because you have to accommodate to those other 6. And they got to reassign positions. So people that were in I-LAND could have tried to get the center part that they didn't get when they performed first. So I found it a little troubling that they made it that way, because it really put the ground people at a disadvantage. And
I agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah. I think when it happened, I was very, very confused and a little bit of an, I don't know. I think I couldn't stop saying like, why, what? I could not understand why they were doing it that way.
I mean, look, this is Mnet. I don't think fairness is their standard of producing competition shows. Let's be real, like
if we think about the way it went down, right? So Island kids sent 3 kids down, right?
Mm-hmm.
They kind of did it in a fair way where I believe K was the second to lowest score, right?
Right.
But the kids they sent down was the kid who got the lowest score, the 3rd lowest score, and the 4th lowest score. So outside of K, they did send the kids with the lowest score in this last round.
Yes.
That's relatively fair. I think that was relatively fair.
Okay.
They did bad, so they sent them down. So it ended up like that because I think K had an off day, but everyone else, they were like, "You guys got low scores. We're gonna send you down," right?
Yeah.
Keep on, yeah.
No. I wanted to add on to the part because I feel like the input of the producers, because this was the first time where the producers got to choose people to put down and not move up, which was what had been happening in the past episodes. I found it that the producers were able to do a more, I don't know, like a more third-party view of like this, like objectively speaking, maybe skill-wise, this person has not proven that they're at this level or not. And I feel like it was only up until that point that I realized like, well, that kind of makes sense because if I think about this certain person in comparison to this other person who kept staying in the island, right? Because I don't know what happened, but I feel like the first group of the island people got so close, they would not vote each other off. Like, it was pretty consistent that if you were a new person from ground coming in, you had your odds against you that you were going to get back down just because you were not there to begin with. So I found like the producer input might have been more necessary throughout the whole show just to be able to give some objective voting as far as like this person needs to work more or this person deserves to be up there.
Right.
And I don't know, I hope that this is incorporated more into the second part because if they're doing self-voting again, I don't see how it's going to be any different or more productive.
Well, here's the other thing. They're going to end up with 12 kids for part 2 of the show.
Right.
I doubt that their group's going to be like, we don't know what the final number is. I think they're going to throw out this system out the window in part 2, and I bet you the producers just choose the group at the end.
That might be it.
They kind of have
right?
to, right?
Like,
they kind of have to.
Or they're just going to manipulate because there's no way. Because at the end of the day, Big Hit is here to make money, right? There's no way they're going to let the fan votes choose all the kids in the group. There's no way.
At this point, I hope they... I mean, yes, pick the kids you want, but like be upfront about it. Don't manipulate it behind my back.
Yeah. I think just take away the global voting aspect and say like, okay, we have the final say and that's it. Because I think that might be more clear. Whereas right now,
my point was earlier that I didn't get to was that they basically got to choose 6 out of 9 kids, right?
Right.
And honestly, they probably got to choose. I'm talking about the producers, Anita, right? They got to choose 6 out of 9. Because you know how they eliminated 3 kids? It's essentially the same as choosing 6 out of 9. My gut feeling is that they ended up with like the 9 kids who they thought were the best anyway, just because of the way the show's set up. So they got to basically handpick 6.
Yeah.
Right? I don't think that's too far of a stretch, because they've had some influence where they got to send kids up to Island this couple times, right?
Yeah.
They got to essentially they placed the kids who they thought were good in Island over time.
Yes.
Because over time, the kids who are not good will eventually get voted down, I think, regardless of all the politics that's going on. So, although the producers haven't had much say, they have had a really important say so far. And I hope, going forward, they have even more of a say.
Do we know how many people are going to be in this final group?
Nope.
They haven't said anything, no.
Okay.
I'm going to guess 9. That would be my guess.
Right. I was going to say something along the lines of like somewhere between like 7 and like 10. Because if they sent up 6 kids, you don't want to pick 6 kids. I don't want to make it too obvious.
Yeah. I also want to bring up something that kind of, I don't know, it left me with a bad impression, and I don't understand why they did this towards the end of the episode, but I know you mentioned 18 people, right, in ground, but in reality, the number was 17, and the reason was because towards the end, there was an explanation that one of the ground trainees, Hyunwon, had to drop out. And he had a goodbye video saying basically that he injured himself, he could not walk anymore, and he could not participate. So he decided to step out of the program. I don't understand why, knowing that there's voting going on, why not establish this at the top of the show? I don't understand why they didn't address this in the very beginning of the episode. Just to be very clear.
Do you think though that 30 minutes of voting will make that much of a difference?
I don't know if it would make a difference or not, but
in terms of fairity,
it gives me a bad feeling knowing that, oh my gosh, like this happened and then they didn't address it at the beginning. Because I mean, the way the show works and the way editing works, it didn't even cross my mind that he was missing, because the ground people don't even get that much screen time to begin with, and it felt like, oh no.
I personally just feel like it didn't make that much of a difference.
See, here's the thing. Mnet does this often, where like if it doesn't make a big difference at the end of the day, they just act like
they just do it.
They just they don't talk about it. Like back when Produce 48 was happening, they didn't mention anything about Jurina. Back when Show Me the Money, I think 6 was airing. Remember D-Arc, the little kid who had sex scandal. That they never discussed any of that.
What do you think is unfair about them announcing it 30 minutes later?
People might have been behind the Yunwon fan.
But I thought people knew going in that the votes are going to triple at the end of the show, so everyone was just holding their votes.
Well, I don't really know. I guess I didn't really quite think about like the tripling of the voting or anything like that. But I feel like I feel like Mnet should have been trying to be more upfront or trying to be more clear as to what was going on, so that there was no possibility of saying like, oh, this person definitely has an advantage over another, because as we mentioned in the previous episode, Seon.
But my question is, who's getting advantaged by a kid leaving the show though?
I mean, I do see where Anil's going. It's a little shady. If the votes towards this kid was not gonna matter, why didn't you just disclose it in the very beginning? You know?
I mean, people knew from the news articles that came out, though.
Yeah. I feel like
because if you're voting, you're definitely invested and you know that he wasn't in the show.
I guess then just my problem with it was just that it didn't look great as far as like the show to be doing that and just putting it, like tagging it on at the end as if an afterthought. But maybe as far as voting, it wouldn't have mattered that much then.
For me though, it just would have like ruined the mood of the show by starting off by like, this kid's hurt, bye. Maybe this is just me.
I do see what you're saying, but but like if there were people, it's very possible that there were like people who were voting for this guy, rooting for this guy, and they didn't know.
If you're standing someone on this show, you know what's going on with your kid.
I mean, okay. Look, when I was back when I was watching Produce 48, there was plenty of people who were like, not like highly invested when the Jurina thing happened and people like disappearing. People in the communities were like, "Wait, where did that one Japanese girl go?" She was crying. She was like,
"I think
my child was all grown up. Where'd she go?"
As someone who, I mean, I'm not gonna say that I was like the number one fan of this particular person that has left the show now, because I wasn't, but I definitely knew who he was, and I had watched the show enough to recognize him that when it happened, I was like, oh, why? Like when his clip started, I was like, oh yes, I remember this guy didn't show up.
I see it different because Mnet could have just not mentioned it, to be honest.
That's true. I mean, they could have just edited out like every part that he was in, because they've done that before, but it felt personally, a little odd.
I thought they did better than what they normally do. They just would have had a text thing at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah, I mean, just because they were better than before doesn't. That's my personal take.
But my overall feeling is that it had no effect. To be honest, I don't think it had much of an effect.
Yeah, but I guess I just think it's a little shady. But I know I see what you mean though. I don't think it would have made a huge difference. But
I think that wraps up this week, right, guys?
Yes, we'll see you part 2, maybe.
Yeah, but this has been SojuTalk, your weekly shout out K-pop. I'm Doug. I'd like to thank Warren and Nita for joining me this week. We'll see you guys next time when we cover Rocket Punch and other songs. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
I wanna hit the
Special shoutouts to our Fiesta patrons: Based Mina, Jenai, Gogu Mama, Jack, Jacob, Malfiar, NJ Parks, Snap Wilson, Tier. Thank you for joining SojuTalk, your weekly shot of K-pop. And special thanks to our Discord server mods: Jacob, K Music Erday, Malfiar, No Bias Nuna, Tuggles, V, and Wolf297.